Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, welcome back to Late Access.
Yes.
We have a new trailer reaction today. This trailer has been out for 11 days, 12 days, I think.
Really?
You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I've seen some images of it because I'm on social media. It's kind of inevitable. But yeah, we've been doing reactions to like Matrix movies, and so those are upcoming. I'm not sure which of these videos are gonna come out first at this point. So look forward to those, and we're looking at a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. Do you remember the trailer we saw last time? That was like the first teaser.
Yes. Several months ago.
Yeah, it feels like that. I mean, it's probably just 1 month ago. Yeah. So this one is more recent, but we waited like almost 2 weeks to watch it because, true to our name, we must be a little bit late.
Yes.
To get to these trailers, otherwise we would be betraying our brand. So ready to do it?
Yeah.
Hey.
Ever since I got bit by that spider, I've only had 1 week
Be a little
where
louder.
my life has felt normal. That was when you found out.
When you botched that spell where you wanted everyone to forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, we started getting some visitors. From every universe.
Hello, Peter. You're not Peter Parker.
Not yours.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Dr. Otto Octavius.
Wait, no, seriously, what's your actual name?
That is his
There
actual
are
name.
others out there. We need to send them back. So, Scooby-Doo
quite
this
cool.
crap.
You know, all this is kind of your mess. I know a couple of magic words myself, starting with the word please.
Please, Scooby-Doo this crap.
You're flying out into
Hey!
the darkness.
Hey, Jonah
to fight
Jameson.
ghosts.
What do you mean?
They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate.
Oh.
I'm sorry, kid.
Yeah, me too.
Don't.
Yeah. Oh. That's what it's about.
There isn't. They're a danger to our universe. You're not gonna take this away from me.
That's Electro.
Peter, you're struggling to have everything you want while the world tries to make you choose.
This is all my fault. I can't save everyone.
Oh no. But will he catch her in time? You have to watch it and find out.
through, and I can't stop him.
December 17th, exclusively in movie theaters. Tickets on sale
December
November 29th. Spider Monday.
That's the
That's
US
a-
release date. It may be a 1 or 2 day different
Oh, yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Let me
was
check.
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that action he went to save his girlfriend. It's
Yeah.
similar like this Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I think that's what it's referencing to.
Okay.
I think because you do remember what happened in Amazing Spider-Man 2? Like he actually didn't manage to catch his girlfriend, and we are having a lot of rumors that we are going to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back as their previous incarnations of Spider-Man. Both actors have denied this, Garfield especially. because he's promoting something else. I think he's getting really annoyed at this. He said he has this other movie, and it's a critically acclaimed movie that he's trying to promote with interviews and doing all these promoting. And every time he appears on stage, people are asking, "Are we in the new Spider-Man movie?" And he's like, "No, for God's sake! I've told you this 1,000 times."
I have a question. Which Spider-Man you love the best? The three guys.
That's a good question. That's a good question. My favorite overall is the current one, Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
And I think this has been repeated a lot on the internet, but I share this very popular opinion that I think Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker. I think Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man, and I think Tom Holland is great at both.
Okay.
What about you?
That's an excellent comment. I love the first one.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah,
there's a lot to like.
I saw it around nearly 20 years ago, 2002. The first one, I remember.
The first movie.
I was still in high school that time. Still remember.
Some nostalgia factor. Yeah. I do wish they're in this movie, and I wouldn't be mad if they're not. But
how old is Tobey Maguire now?
Wow, probably 40. Hey Siri, how old is Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire is 46 years old.
Wow.
Jeez. I mean, they can de-age him. They've de-aged a lot of people in this whole Marvel series. I'm sure they can do it. I think Tobey could still probably
play as Spider-Man. Maybe he does not like to also.
So we're getting a bit more clearer with the story, because I've shared with you a suspicion. I don't think I did it on camera, but I thought maybe Doctor Strange is actually the big bad of the movie. I mean, kind of like a Civil War situation. Not that he's bad.
The Doctor Strange started the multi-universe for this Marvel studio.
I mean, he didn't start it. You need to finish the Loki show. He didn't start it, but he very much opened the portal in this one.
That's correct. Loki. There's another Loki in that short.
The multiverse was a kind of a heavily built. Actually, I think if you want to trace the start of it, they dropped some hints in the last Spider-Man film, because the villain, what is the villain's name? Mysterio.
Mysterio, the bad guy.
He claimed that he was from another universe. He claimed that he's from the multiverse.
Yeah, that's correct.
But that turned out to be bullshit. But I think that was kind of like an effort to acclimate the audience with the idea that MCU has a multiverse. And then there were some hints in WandaVision. And then it all started in Loki, and now we are looking at this movie. After this, we got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
I started to have this first impression was in the earlier that TV series called Flash.
Yes,
that's a very much well built multi-universe set. Flash, two Flashes.
Yeah, I think for a time they figured it out, and then it got too much.
Because something to do Flash is the speed and the time, everything.
Yes.
Although they combine everything together.
I mean, it's appropriate that you approach this idea with the Flash, because I think that he actually may have been the first, the earliest American comic book superhero to go through this, to really approach this time travel and dimension jumping. He didn't invent them, but I think the Flash and his audiences made that kind of a popular thing. So as far as this movie is concerned, it seems the way this this trailer has shown us a lot of kind of a basic structure of the story. Peter Parker wants
the people to forget that he's the Peter Parker, which is the mysterious, make him know everyone that he is the Peter Parker.
Yeah, he goes to Doctor Strange, he casts a spell, but it gets messed up, it opens the multiverse. A lot of classic Spider-Man villains come in.
And he tried to solve the problems after that.
Yeah, but the way they said it in this scene...
this is quite good. Right?
Yeah, wow. Before this conflict, it seems like Doctor Strange is...
This is the Asian one that...
I mean, he learned the trick. This is the first time we see Doctor Strange do this, right? We've only seen an Asian one do this.
Yeah.
So, I think Doctor Strange mentioned that they have to kill all the villains. and Peter's not on board with that. He's more sympathetic to them, I think.
Yeah, he's a friend of the Dr. Octopus. Octopus.
I have a feeling Doc Ock is going to be like more of a human voice.
That's because he not recognize he's not the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's not Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Is he going to stay a villain? Maybe one of the villains are going to actually help him? Because they don't want to die. I mean, if Peter's the one trying to keep them alive, there's no reason they should want to kill him. But I'm not sure he can reason with the lizard.
I think the director chose several characters. There's Goblin.
Yeah.
The Green Goblin, the Octopus.
Yeah.
And then this Electron from this Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But that's the first Amazing Spider-Man, that bad guy.
Actually,
the Doctor without the arm.
Yes, he's also in here.
He's also in here.
He's here.
No.
This is him, the lizard.
Lizard, yeah.
And this is Sandman. Sandman from Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Electro
So basically they include everyone.
Yeah, every villain with at least one movie gets a representation here.
Oh yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I think, and you know what's really crazy? I think they've never looked better. These villains, especially Mysterio. Mysterio
it's Electro.
Sorry, Electro. Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I didn't actually like how he looked. He was all blue, and it just didn't really look like Jamie Foxx.
There's no Amazing Spider-Man 3. They stopped.
Well, the second one wasn't received very well. It wasn't a flop, but it didn't make as much money as they hoped for. And then Marvel Studios proposed to borrow the Spider-Man character for starting with Civil War, and then we got Tom Holland ones. It actually happened really fast.
That's because maybe Amazing Spider-Man ended with a tragedy. That's maybe the
reason. They were going to make a third one, but they kind of scrapped that. It's kind of just the business. I mean, they in one of the problems with Amazing Spider-Man 2, and maybe we can.
It's not a happy ending. That's very important, I think.
I mean, it was an ending, but they dropped so many hints about what's to come in that universe at the time. There were like a lot of Easter eggs, almost in-your-face Easter eggs for Sinister Six.
Yeah, because I think at the end of that movie, there's a lot of other new bad guys.
Yeah, they were hinting at them heavily.
But we will expect the third one that never come. That's the problem.
I guess
that's the reason that you should not make a tragedy movie. I told you that's very important, especially the leading actress. She cannot die.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, though. Even in the comics, she dies.
I'm not sure if any superhero movie this is the first. I mean, the leading actress die. I think the first one.
I'm sure I can find some, but
you try any Batman and Superman, and they are never Batman's girlfriend or Superman's girlfriend. That never.
Yeah, I think in the at least in the movies, that's. No. Yeah. But I think Gwen Stacy's death, even in the comic back then, like decades ago, it was a
Otherwise,
big thing
how you have the Mary Jane come back? Came.
Yeah, they were actually. Funny thing, when they were shooting, when they were making Amazing Spider-Man 2, they actually cast a Mary Jane Watson, but they cut her out, and they were going to use her for part 3.
Yeah,
and that never happened. So I kind of feel bad for the actress, really. I mean, she's still thinking that she's got the role of a lifetime.
Who is that actress?
I don't know. Why would I know that? We never saw her. I mean, that kind of says that's the tragedy of the movie. I don't know. Amazing Spider-Man series, they were good. I liked some parts of it. I generally liked the first one, but I'm not too sorry to see it go, to be honest with you. The first one, I liked the movie, but I also thought it was a bit repetitive with the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. They covered a lot of the similar plots.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben had to die again, all that. Got a little repetitive. And so I think we should, we could...
But with this new Spider-Man, the Tom, we don't have Uncle Ben. Do we have?
No, I think this is actually a bit of a copyright issue. Some of the characters, live action copyright are still with Sony, and they didn't grant them authorization to mention them. So here's the funny thing: in the What If series, you're probably not interested in watching that all that much, considering your history with animation.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but just a quick thing is it's an animated show, so it doesn't affect the live action copyright. So in that show, in one episode, Peter started listing all the people he's lost, like Tony Stark, but he also mentioned Uncle Ben.
But if we have a mutant universe, Tony Stark should be back here. Also, there's another Iron Man.
Well,
maybe another new actor.
That's the beauty of multiverse. Anything can happen, and anything doesn't have to happen. It can just all go according to how the story progresses, or whether the actor wants to come back. They can.
No, I don't think the actor will need to. It's too expensive, maybe.
I mean, they've managed to keep him around long after his own movies have expired. So, if they want to, they may be able to find a way. Maybe.
I heard that they paid for that movie, 00 No Time to Die. They paid Daniel 100 million,
right,
for him to play the 00 agent again.
I mean,
the last time.
100 million. I'm not sure if
That's true. US dollar 100 million.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised by that, because he was really negative about the role after he played the fourth time. Yeah, I remember him saying, like, if I have to play James Bond again, I'm going to slit my throats. I mean, I'm going to slit my wrists.
I think he played for the money.
Yeah, I mean, I think he played it well. And if it, of course, it's also always for the money. Why not? If you're good at something, you want to do it for the money. Shall we jump to another video that kind of explains this Easter eggs and all the details of this trailer much better than I can?
Yeah.
You've never seen one of the new Rockstar videos?
No.
I've seen a bunch of them. I love seeing other reactors react to them. So this is our chance to do it.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of the new trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, which confronts Tom Holland, Peter Parker, with Doc Ock, Alfred Molina from Spider-Man 2, 2004, Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe from the Raimi trilogy, Electro, Jamie Foxx,
yeah, I much prefer the current.
The change.
I think it changed.
And the Lizard, Rhys Ifans from the 2012
Very much for the
Spider-Man, not to mention Doctor
This one looks
Strange.
similar.
But this trailer seems to be playing some VFX trickery, because I highly doubt Peter's facing all these threats by himself. That's right, his backup,
this is
Sonic and Shrek. I'm gonna go through this frame by frame to find all the Easter eggs and details that this trailer's hiding. This video was sponsored by our friends at Heroes Journal. More on them
just
later.
out of politeness,
Let's
I'm
get
not going to
started.
skip the.
Ever since I got bit by that spider, I've only had 1 week where my life has felt normal. That was when you found out.
We open on sad Peter Parker, his face bruised and bleeding, tears and rain. Seems like the end of the movie, so who is Peter mourning? Who's gonna die? Well, the trailer suggests MJ, but it could just as easily be like Ned, Aunt May, Happy Hogan, or Shrek. This could also be an ending
Just
where...
quick note. Just because the trailer showed him catching MJ and probably feeling it, makes me almost 100% sure that she's gonna be okay.
Why?
Because the trailer told us this. I mean, the trailer would always seeks to misdirect us.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Let's see.
But maybe this
but
is.
I think the producer should learn the lessons for the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I mean, it didn't
sell good.
It didn't sell good.
Any tragedy movies may not sell that good.
I disagree. I disagree that it failed because it's a tragedy. That's an iconic comic book moment. That Gwen Stacy died. That kind of spells out Spider-Man's humanity, that he can't win every battle, and I actually think that movie was a bit of a mess, but that part I really love.
Because liked. Too many bad guys, or
too many bad guys. That's definitely one thing. That movie had Electro and Goblin Jr. and all that.
Before Electro, there's another one.
Then there's the Rhino at the beginning and end of it. It's just so stupid.
But it's quite exciting. You fight every frame, or maybe every few frames.
I mean,
in that movie.
This is kind of a trend, right? In the original Raimi trilogy, the Spider-Man 3 had too many villains. It has Goblin Jr. and Venom and Sandman. Amazing Spider-Man 2 had too many villains. Now we are coming at the end of another Spider-Man series, and we have 6 villains.
Yeah.
I think this one can pull it off though, because MCU has pulled off even more impossible stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah.
Peter, in order to save those he loves and those he doesn't want to harm, must exile himself to a reality in the multiverse where he is a stranger with no way home, where it rains a lot, called Seattle. Peter tells
I just remember this video may or may not spoil something from Venom 2.
MJ that the week between her finding out that he was Spider-Man in Far From Home and Mysterio and J. Jonah Jameson outing him in the post-credit scene of that movie was his one normal week ever since the spider bit him. Now, this is only the second time Peter has mentioned his spider bite, an origin we never actually saw in the MCU, just kind of glossed over in Homecoming.
I mean, you don't want to see it a third time.
Can it bite me? Well, it probably would have hurt, right? You know what? Whatever. Even if it did hurt, I would let it bite me.
Ned.
Maybe. How much did it hurt?
The spider's dead, Ned.
So No Way Home could finally be the film the MCU flashes back to the exact circumstances of Peter's spider bite, especially if this movie does introduce him to the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield versions of the character, whose bites and web-slinging abilities took alternate forms. Peter and MJ swing past J. Jonah Jameson's Daily Bugle broadcast until it switches to his own face half-mast with Public Enemy number 1. Number 1? Does no one care that Nexus witches exist? Just go talk to those survivors in Westview, or to Mr. Dell.
Yes.
You know,
Good
being
point.
a man of science,
Yes.
witches.
And in the shot, you can see how MJ's hair is blocking Peter's view, and that nearly causes him to smack right into that screen. And only when it clears does he finally whip to the side. Then Peter and MJ perch on the Queensboro Bridge. You can see over to the side there, this is right next to the Roosevelt Island Tramway, the setting of Green Goblin's showdown with Tobey Maguire and Peter Parker in the first Raimi Spider-Man film. Let's move on.
He really finds all these details.
When you botched that spell where you wanted everyone to forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, we started getting some visitors.
As Peter and MJ jump from that bridge, you can see MJ is wearing the same Joan of Arc t-shirt that she wore at the end of Far From Home, which, in addition to being a reflection of MJ's feminine pride, was itself an Easter egg Hollybag Zendaya's Joan of Arc look at the 2018 Met Gala. Then they glide through the subway tunnels, somehow missing Morbius despite his best efforts to sneak into this universe. And obviously they do this to escape the helicopters tracking them, but also following Cap's advice on how best to escape the city.
Morris will also release soon.
Morbius. When was that again? Do you remember?
December, I think.
Really?
I can't forget. I can't remember.
That would be
maybe
cool.
Next week.
It would be cool if there's some kind of crossover between them.
Can't remember.
Through the basement or through the subway, you keep them off the streets.
Someone's been watching his cat PSAs, and then as they nearly run into a train for a brief second, the train screen flashes red, and the M train? That's right, Spider-Man narrowly avoided the Mephisto train. Run all you want, Spider-Man.
No, Eric.
Down here.
Not again.
Nah,
that's Thomas Train.
The line actually runs through Queens, so this train is likely coming from Queens, and Peter's just trying to get home. But there's no way home, thanks to Mephisto. Now, you'll notice Benedict Cumberbatch's audio sounds stitched together here.
When you botched that spell where you wanted everyone to forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man,
as many of his off-screen lines actually sound in this trailer.
There are others out there. We need to send them back.
They're starting to come through, and I can't stop them.
This is the first time for me in the Marvel universe.
I am guessing that Cumberbatch is just so fluid with his line reads, with more revelatory terms bleeding into the trailer dialogue, making it harder to cut around. Now, the from-behind shot of Peter shows him wearing a dark blue jacket, clearly a different scene than the shot of Peter with the plaid shirt when the spell occurs. Him in the jacket actually matches with the shot of the first trailer, where the lizard was swiping at Peter, so Doctor Strange may have actually caught the lizard on his own while Peter was dealing with Doc Ock and Goblin on the bridge. We see more of the exact moment that Peter tampers with the spell, causing the golden bands to tremble and then explode outward. And again, there are 4 of these bands, maybe for each of the 4 universes that get crossed over in this movie: the MCU, the Raimiverse, the Webverse, and the Venomverse. And as they illuminate the room, you can see that the blue murk that previously surrounded them dissipates. Presumably that was going to be the cold and drowsy humor that Doctor Strange was trying to conjure to just simply erase people's memories. But now the golden reality warp bands tear the room room to pieces around them. Now that we've seen Venom Let There Be Carnage, that movie's post-credit scene seems to be showing a similar process. A bright golden light fills the room, and then reality warps the room's decor. That can explain why we have all these random odds and ends in this dungeon later on. It's just a bunch of crap that got redecorated after the reality warped. I've compared this imagery to Wanda Maximoff's reality warping in WandaVision, and I still believe Strange might be under Wanda's spell, which is clearly what WandaVision was setting up, and could explain why Strange so willingly helps Peter warp reality. Because remember, Wanda is looking for a reality where her children could still be alive. Moving on.
So you haven't seen WandaVision?
No.
Is this very confusing for you?
A little bit.
Hello, Peter.
I love it. Green Goblin is here. He looms in through the smoke of his own pumpkin grenades, riding his glider. Meanwhile, Strange explains that these visitors are coming from every universe, meaning Doctor Strange might have been previously aware of alternate universes like the Raimi-verse, which would give interesting meaning to the line he said to Tony Stark back in Infinity War.
Protecting your reality, douchebag.
Then Electro's bolts blast through the ground toward Peter, who wears this new black and gold suit.
Yes.
This suit's kind of a mess. There's loose wires poking out, duct tape all over the place. Actually, later you can see MJ and Ned are on a smartphone duct taped to his chest, apparently FaceTiming all this. I am guessing this mission might be to catch Electro, and they have to do it in a way without Peter's Iron Spider armor, maybe by turning his old suit inside out, so all the wiring is now exposed. Or maybe his nanotech suit can't be relied on after he ran into Doc Ock, or this could just be a new suit that they rigged up to be more resistant to high voltage. Let's move on to the next clip.
You're not Peter Parker.
Ah yes, license plates. So I pointed out in past videos how the cars on this bridge seems to have specific license plates that could be pointing to specific comic book issues, something Spider-Man director John Watts actually does in all of his movies. Here, Doc Ock and Peter pass a plate reading JND79WN, which doesn't seem to directly translate to anything in particular unless
looking at this every millisecond.
Spider-Woman, who did first appear in Marvel Comics in 1976.
Every second he does like an hour of research.
Overt one, ASM 8183. John Watts always uses ASM to refer to Amazing Spider-Man, and then a specific comic book issue followed by the year. But this could be interpreted a couple different ways, actually. There was a Spectacular Spider-Man, not Amazing Spider-Man, issue 81 in 83, which mixes up Spider-Man with Cloak and Dagger, Punisher, and a certain bald baddie who's gonna come stomping into the MCU soon. Kingpin. Yes, I have theorized that Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, could be revealed in Hawkeye and could be the sixth villain of the Sinister Six in this movie.
That would be
but
great.
Alternatively, there's also
back.
An Amazing Spider-Man number 183 that was released
That's Kingpin from the
Daredevil
Daredevil show
in the year 1973, in which Peter gets attacked by a big wheel while Aunt May is hospitalized. This could just be a joke about how the wheel of this car is flying at Peter right now. But then beneath the bridge, Doc Ock jams his claw at Peter, and I love how John Watts uses a whip pan, the same kind of camera movement that Sam Raimi would often use for Doc Ock in the 2004 film. But notice how Doc Ock's arms now have a red and gold coating to them, and a chunk of Peter's nanotech is missing from his chest. He actually has to reallocate the nanobots from his helmet to his chest to protect him from the blow. And a later trailer shot shows that Doc Ock straight up absorbs Peter's nanotech armor from his suit. And this is crazy, because Doc Ock comes from an alternate universe where Stark tech does not exist. How could he be compatible with this tech? Well, if you think about it, his arms are actually controlled via a neural link that was fused to his spinal cord. And Stark nanotech seems to be controlled via a kind of neural link as well. So maybe that is how Doc Ock can hack into it. I'm just excited to see nanotech on the loose in the MCU. Could be a major plot point in shows like Armor Wars. Also, a little VFX detail that I appreciate. Peter's necktie dangles from the open nanotech hole where his chest is, but as that nanotech shifts and seals that hole, it tucks the necktie back in. Meanwhile, when Tom Holland's face is revealed, Doc Ock says,
"You're not Peter Parker."
Answering our questions from the first trailer as to why Doc Ock would see this version of Spider-Man and recognize him as Peter from his universe. It's just because Doc Ock saw someone, I guess, who looked like Spider-Man and assumed that would be Tobey's face underneath. But what I like about this line is it does confirm the existence of a Tobey Maguire Peter Parker somewhere in this merged Spider-Verse and makes his cameo even more likely. Let's move on.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Dr. Otto Octavius.
Wait,
Wait, no, seriously, what's your actual name?
Sounds like the kids are okay boomering Doc Ock about his name. I like how Ned is holding a crossbow. Might have been something they picked up from Strange and Wong's artifacts that they used for things like vampire hunting, because we know a lot of these are coming in the MCU. Meanwhile, MJ's necklace, I love this detail. It's actually a broken piece of the Black Dahlia necklace that Peter bought for her in Venice and later ended up broken when he gave it to her in that movie. She's so loyal, what a keeper. But I mean, it's MJ, she likes it better than it's broken. And then here we see how Doc Ock actually retains the red and gold nanobots from Peter's suit on his arms. He might have actually absorbed all of the nanobots for all we know. And then as Doc Ock turns his head, these claws, like snake heads, turn their heads too. We're not really sure how much these arms are listening to him or he's listening to them. I like to think they listen to me now. Next clip.
There are others out there. We need to send them back. So, Scooby-Doo this crap.
You know, all this is kind of your mess. I know a couple of magic words myself, starting with the word please.
Please, Scooby-Doo this crap.
Okay, amazing set piece here. The freaking Statue of Liberty, keeping the tradition of landmark set pieces like the Washington Monument, the Venice Grand Canal, Tower Bridge in London, but now with huge cranes over it attaching a massive Captain America shield. You can see a banner hanging from the scaffolding reading Lady Liberty, the newest Avenger, and you can actually see those words on a bus stop ad for it later on. Now, we just saw Liberty Island used as an example of how the world has gone to crap during the blip with all the loose boats moored up to it, but now it seems as though the government is using Lady Liberty as a way of celebrating the Avengers' victory. When Cap stood his ground facing the abyss and found backup from opening portals behind him, as we pray Peter Parker will receive some backup from other Peters in this scene. If you remember, this was kind of foreshadowed in Far From Home when Mysterio's illusion trapped Peter in a snow globe where the Statue of Liberty rose up beside him. And earlier, Peter stood among giant statues of his fallen Avenger heroes with him standing on a giant Captain America shield. Now, of course, using the Statue of Liberty as a final battle set piece has been something that pretty much all superhero movies have avoided because it was done back in one of the first big Marvel movies, X-Men in 2000, which is the Marvel movie where Kevin Feige got his start as an associate producer. We're coming full circle with that, and I think there's a deliberate reason for that. I'll get to it at the end of the video. Getting the answers to these questions is quite a quest for me. Yes, I feel like I'm on my own Campbellian hero's journey, and in my own life, I like to document my progress by staging it this way, and an awesome new thing to help me do that is Hero's Journal. Hero's Journal is here to help you accomplish your goals by turning them into a quest. The Hero's Journal
I think this is the sponsorship.
The story you tell about yourself and define the quest you want to undertake. They have two different journals, the Historia Magic Academy for fans of Harry Potter.
If we ever get successful enough, we may have our own sponsors within the video. We can react to two trailers and in the middle we'll be like, this video is sponsored by Yo Mama.
Fancy foiling on the spine, a lovely green cloth ribbon that would just be a really great gift to get someone. Whatever your goals involve, the Hero's Journal guides you along the journey to achieving them by building a positive.
You know what I've always wanted? Not exactly this, but I've always wanted an app on my phone that could turn my like daily chores into like video game quests. Like it could show me like my current main quest is to go to work in that direction. I just think that's more fun. It's more, it would get me more organized. Because if you take a look at where I live, I'm not very organized.
Meanwhile, Peter uses a piece of wrist tech that eliminates rings of eldritch magic from Doctor Strange. So must be this suit, or maybe even just this piece on his wrist, was probably given to Peter in order to snare villains like Electro, kind of like a Ghostbuster using a proton.
I just saw the
Then
new
Doctor Strange
movie.
tells them to Scooby-Doo this crap. Just another example of the MCU folding in all of pop culture into their universe, kind of like how Eternals just cited other Warner properties like Superman and Batman, and then a preview clip of Hawkeye mentioned Katniss Everdeen from Hunger Games. But Strange telling them to Scooby-Doo this problem does cast this group as a kind of Mystery Inc. Like MJ would be Velma, Peter probably Shaggy, Ned Scooby, and Happy and Aunt May, Fred and Daphne. They're useless and always trying to
Why don't you mind your own business, pal?
But like in Scooby-Doo, the kids of this movie might end up unmasking the real villain behind it all, which according to Scooby-Doo lore is more often than not the old man Jenkins, who hired them in the first place. So just add this to the list of reasons to be super suspicious of Doctor Strange in this movie. He may be the witch who would have gotten away with it if it weren't for that meddling Nedlin. Moving on.
You're flying out into the darkness.
to fight ghosts.
What do you mean?
They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate.
So we see a combination of Electro and Sandman attacking cops and news vans, but now standing aside the Daily Bugle van is our man J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Giddy smile on his face as he realizes he's getting a great scoop. And as Electro blasts away, you can see his humanoid shape flashing like lightning from spot to spot. Now, of course, his lightning color is now yellow, not blue like in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but since Doc Ock can absorb nanotech, I think a lot of these villains might adapt new features as they transition into the MCU.
And they look way cooler
us with this
as a
line.
result.
You're
No
flying out
complaints.
into the darkness to fight ghosts.
For one, it doubles down on this Ghostbusters parallel of Peter's mission, but also, Alfred Molina is looking directly into the camera here as if this is how he shuts up those kids for laughing about his name, reminding them that they will be facing madmen who should be dead, who now think that they're in some kind of purgatory or hell, and therefore they have nothing to lose. Doctor Strange says that all these people died fighting their version of Spider-Man, but that definitely wasn't the case for Sandman at the end of Spider-Man 3. Peter Parker forgave him and let him go, making us wonder, geez, Toby, what did you do after Spider-Man 3? Did Flynn Marco break your damn door?
Fix this damn door!
Then Peter leaps after a pumpkin grenade.
There's so many
explodes
memes
in front
from
of him.
the
This actually
original
looks like the
Spider-Man
lobby
trilogy.
of that same building, the one with the police cars outside, the same one we later see Electro and Sandman outside of, and the lobby that Aunt May seems to be charging through. I also think, based off of the SWAT swarming around it, that is where Happy Hogan is. So, between Happy and May, that's two very worrisome options for who this pumpkin grenade may be targeting. But Peter does seem to be wearing a new incarnation of his Iron Spider nanotech that probably protects him from this explosion. You can see that gold emblem stretching across his shoulders. That's completely new. The guy's got a million suits in this franchise. And in that shot, he appears to be talking to Aunt May after the explosion. So I'm thinking she'll be okay. Happy though? I don't know. But an explosion does destroy the entrance, emitting a green fire, which actually continues to burn green on that piece in the lower right. So I'm wondering if this could be part of Goblin's weaponry. And then on the right is a Feast truck. Feast is Peter Parker's homeless outreach organization, and it has a big hole torn out of the side of the truck, like someone might have used this truck as perhaps a Trojan horse that they burst out of in the attack. Moving on.
I'm sorry, kid.
Yeah, me too.
Don't.
Look, there has to be another way!
There isn't. They're a danger to our universe.
So deciding that he does not want to send these villains to their certain deaths, either realizing that if he's worthy of redemption, so must they be, or after Mysterio, he doesn't want any villain blood on his hands, Peter whips and snatches that green cube artifact as it levitates between Strange's hands. I'm assuming this is some kind of Pokeball pocket prison that Doctor Strange is either storing the villains inside of, or some kind of mechanism that allows him to return them to sender. I love this. Peter is strung between two portals. Strange must have tricked Peter by opening one portal in the direction he was already whipping, and then another one immediately behind him, so that Peter ended up whipping his own foot. Genius. But in this shot I mentioned before, Aunt May looks super emotional, and she's carrying some device. Looks metallic, cylindrical, and glowing green a bit. Could this be some form of Goblin's tech? Then Doc Ock tries to crush Peter's head, which then leads to the nanobot spreading across his mechanical arms. This actually might have been a defense mechanism by the nanobots to keep the claws from crushing the helmet, but then those bots fused with Otto's neural link, allowing him to inherit them. On to the next clip.
You're not gonna take this away from me. Peter, you're struggling to have everything you want while the world tries to make you choose.
So Peter swings through the scaffolding at the base of the Statue of Liberty, but you'll notice the statue is bronze colored, not the green color we know today. And that's because when the statue was originally assembled in France in the 1880s, its copper plating made it a dull brown color. And then over the next 30 years, it oxidized green, the color we now know it as. So maybe this statue is actually restored as part of its newest Avenger.
Never knew about
Actually,
that.
in shots of Peter perched on the crown, you can see streaks of green in those spikes, as if this oxidation was being scrubbed off. Then we get our first clear look at Jamie Foxx as Electro. He wears this chunky gear that seems to help conduct the electric current, and it all seems to be stemming from a chest component that almost looks like an arc reactor, like a spare one from Stark's tech. Just be another piece of Stark tech that one of these Spidey villains could hijack and repurpose. He does seem to fire a powerful blast that seems like it's a mixture of repulsor blasts. And then I love this, as the electricity courses over his head, it makes the yellow starburst shape of Electro's classic spark shark mask from the comics. Then we get a nice close-up of Green Goblin on his glider, as well as a quick flash of a goblin without his helmet, wearing flight goggles. I'm just thinking this is a blurry Willem Dafoe face, because if alternate goblins or Hobgoblin was in this movie, I don't think they would reveal James Franco or Dane DeHaan Goblin in a shot like this. But you'll notice he drops in with a swarm of razor bats. You remember those nasty things from the first Raimi film. And then a DODC SWAT unit swarms in on the building, Department of Damage Control. These are the authorities who arrested and interrogate Peter, and they seem to here be in the apparent aftermath of that green explosion. And then a juiced up version of Doctor Strange's spell blasts out from Liberty Island,
but in that case, anime should be okay.
Maybe that cube broke open, causing the barriers between realities to open even wider. More thoughts on this in a bit, but on to the next clip.
This is all my fault. I can't save everyone.
Okay, so Electro, Sandman's giant face, and Lizard leap across the Statue of Liberty scaffolding towards Spider-Man, but clearly...
You know, I just realized that this Sandman shot looks exactly like the Mummy movie from 1999. Do you remember that?
You mean, I can't remember. But I saw that movie, I can remember.
Okay.
I can't, sorry. maybe there's some face in that movie also.
Maybe.
Because that Thunderstorm, I remember, maybe.
Yeah.
Lizard is jumping towards something else that must be positioned beneath Spider-Man that's been scrubbed from the frame. Actually, in the Brazilian version of this trailer, the cut was left long enough to show Lizard recoiling as if something kicked him in the head. Something that was removed from this trailer, and I think it's a very good chance that in the theatrical version of this scene, that is going to be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Maybe Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but Garfield Peter has a history with Lizard. Actually, Electro was also an Andrew Peter villain. Sandman was the Tobey Peter villain. Tom's really the odd one out here. But this shot just makes it seem like it's 3 versus 1, but compositionally, it makes far more sense for this to be 3 versus 3. Kind of like how the profile collision shot in Civil War was equal numbers on both sides. And when Peter tells Aunt May that he can't save everyone, I think the subtext of that is that he can't do it alone. And he's gonna...
I mean, you probably weren't this closely following trailers for the past few years, but Marvel has done this so many times.
Yeah.
Back when the Infinity War was coming out, there were shots showing like the Battle of Wakanda, and Thanos is there with 2 Infinity Stones on his glove. But when you see the movie, he actually already has 5 of them when he goes to Wakanda. So they do this so many times already that we've developed the habit to not trusting what they actually show in the trailer.
Get some Endgame style backup from his Peter variants. Now, I fully respect Sony for not putting Tobey and Andrew in the trailer, but fans have been so ravenous with speculation, I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point. Still, I think we're gonna scream like Doc Brown when we see them. Let's move on.
That's so close. That is so close.
So the giant Captain America shield crashes through the scaffolding, causing Ned and MJ to lose their balance, and MJ falls in slow motion with framing pretty similar to Gwen Stacy's fall in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Peter dives after her, reaching out his hand. Is he gonna catch her? Well, many are asking whose hand this actually is. It's definitely Tom Holland, Peter Parker's hand, based on the glove design and the new suit he is wearing in the sequence. But the parallels to Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker, and Gwen Stacy's death are pretty strong enough here that it would not surprise me if Sony pulls another VFX switcheroo and replaces Tom's hand with the life-saving grasp of Shrek. Andrew Garfield, who would refuse to let another Peter Parker love interest die the same way his Gwen Stacy did. And you'll notice that the 2 hands here are framed perfectly with One World Trade Center in the background, just as this building does.
I think that would be a perfect setup. If like he's this close to catching her, but some villain catches Spider-Man, and he's not able to catch him, but then Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saves her at the end because he refuses to allow his tragedy to happen again.
Yeah,
I think that would be great.
That's a good set.
As looming over Gwen Stacy's funeral in the 2014 film. Let's move on to the final clip.
What's happening?
They're starting to come through, and I can't stop them.
stunning
So
come
it
through.
looks as though that spell that blasted outward from the Statue of Liberty has left this crack in the sky, like the cracks in space formed when the multiverse shattered in Loki, or the shattering of reality walls in What If. Now, these cracks were once orange, like the golden bands of Doctor Strange's spell, but now a purple glow has overtaken the orange color as this glows in from what lays beyond. Purple has tended to be the color of dark magic in the MCU, the color of Dormammu in the Dark Dimension, the color of Agatha Harkness's dark magic. But the question is, what or who has started to come in through these cracks that Doctor Strange cannot keep out? Well, interdimensional threats like Dormammu or Shuma-Gorath or demons from the What If episode 4 always seem to be a threat to Doctor Strange. Maybe we're looking at a symbiote hive or Kang variants. I don't think it has to be one big threat, but like the Sinister Six spawning throughout the MCU, any number of out-of-place outsiders suddenly appearing from different universes. And I think it is interesting that they chose the Statue of Liberty as the focal point of all of this. The gateway to a new world for the tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. A symbol chosen specifically for that X-Men final battle, for that reason, as part of Magneto's plan to transform world elites into poor huddled mutants from a shining beacon in Lady Liberty's torch. No Way Home is clearly a prelude to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I'm pretty sure is gonna be the MCU's version of the Scarlet Witch House of the M storyline, which is the nexus point of mutant existence in the multiverse. If we are seeing the moment that break in reality occurs, and if Doctor Strange has a link whatsoever to the Scarlet Witch, which we know from WandaVision that he does, then Kevin Feige might have chosen the Statue of Liberty specifically for that parallel symbolism as the place that he, when he got his start as a young associate producer on that X-Men 2000 film, personally shepherded Marvel superheroes to take a huge leap forward on the big screen, and he could be now bringing it full circle as a place mutant kind arrives on the shores of the MCU. Well, that is everything I caught in this magnificent No Way Home trailer, but we will be making plenty more videos about this in the days and weeks to come. So support this channel by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for breakdowns of everything you love. It's late and
yes.
You should subscribe to this channel if for some reason you're watching ours but not his.
That's too much. That's really too much.
People have been speculating since the Disney Fox acquisition that when are you going to bring X-Men into the MCU? How are you going to bring X-Men into the MCU?
No, this is the way.
This could be a way.
Yeah, they can bring.
Because to me, this is like almost like an ultimate question, because X-Men has too much of history, too much of a struggling history to just add to the world in a snap like that and still have it be impactful. I think this is like so difficult. Yeah. And people have also proposed that you could just say they've always been here, but people don't know them, and that's just not very realistic.
Yeah. Fully agree.
Yeah. Let's see how X-Men is going to bring in, and also Fantastic Four. That's another thing that they could incorporate from the Fox Marvel universe. We already know they're going to do Deadpool 3 within the MCU, and very much looking forward to that. I'm hoping they could get maybe Tony Stark or Steve Rogers back just for one more go with the Deadpool, because that's going to be special.
Yeah. We have almost only 35 days left for 2021.
Yep.
Ready for the movie next month?
Yeah, of course.
Good.
Great. It's like videos like this that hype the movie up so much.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I'm almost afraid that I will be disappointed if we don't see 3 Spider-Man. But we shouldn't be. I mean, there was never any official promise of that.
Yes. I agree.
Well, that's what we got for the next Spider-Man movie. We'll be very much looking forward to seeing that in theater. And with that note, thank you for watching. And subscribe to New Rockstars. They make great videos. Subscribe to us because we are trying really hard to make great videos. And thank you for watching, and see you next time.
See you.